Hi. So I'm Becky, this is Eric. We're going to do a yin practice all around, kind of touch all of the areas. We have 2 blocks, a blanket, a bolster, and a strap. So wherever you are, just makeshift props, cushions, blankets, whatever. Old neckties can serve as straps. Just use what you have. Always support your practice instead of forcing your body to do something it's not maybe ready to do yet. Listen to your body, listen to your breath. Those are your teachers. I'm going to give you suggestions of shapes to take with your body. It's up to you to keep yourself supported and safe. So big toes touch, knees apart. Our first posture is child's pose, Balasana. So you rest forward, soften your elbows, let your forehead be heavy, and breathe. Once you arrive here in this shape, take some big breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. A couple more like that. Let go of whatever is heavy, whatever's on your mind. Let it off with your exhales. Then when you feel a little more present, like you've landed on your mat, transition the breath to using only the nose, but keep the throat relaxed. Keep the breath moving nice and easy. You want to keep the breath the same length on both sides. So as you breathe in, maybe you count to 4 or 5, or just kind of check in and see how long your inhale is. And then as you exhale, follow it by the same count. So it's Samavriti Pranayama, the same length on both sides. Inhale and exhale. Starting to connect with the breathing process. You're breathing in a lot more breath than you typically do when you're not practicing your yoga. And that requires your complete attention, so you can't worry about other stuff, the stuff that's happening off of your mat right now. You decided to show up and practice, so do that. Stay present. Set an intention, a sankalpa, a resolve, something to keep you here on your mat while you're practicing. Maybe a person, a place, an idea. Presence with breath, with your intention. Watching the breath, attaching yourself to that process, noticing what moves as you breathe in, what softens as you breathe out. Just watching the thoughts as the thoughts may come into your awareness. Just observing them the same way that you would observe traffic passing on the street. One thought passes, maybe a while before another one comes. or it could pass right next to the previous. Just notice a little more attention, a little more space within your breath might start to space out the thoughts a little bit. Start to make the breath a little bigger, a little more aware. More breath in through the nose, more breath back out. And then as you inhale, pick up the head to look at your thumbs, press up onto fours, hands and knees. Slide the knees underneath the hips, the hands underneath the shoulders, up into tabletop, into fours. So turn the eyes of the elbows forward, pull the navel in. So you feel the low back protected when you engage your abdominal muscles. The knees are underneath your hips, tops of the feet are pressing down. Just feel this tabletop. Feel what moves now as you breathe in. And breathe out. Now tuck the toes under, all 10 toes tucked to stretch the bottoms of the feet. Take an arch in the low back, so tilt the pelvis. And then pick up the knees, press into the hands, press into the feet, lifting the tailbone like you have a hook on your tailbone and you're being picked up by that hook. Your head hangs. You can pedal, you can move with your breath, just stretching into the hips, maybe the shoulders, just kind of a freestyle down dog to bring a little movement after that long child's pose. Take one more breath in your down dog. As you exhale, put your knees back on your mat. Now, next pose we're going to take is a lunge. So we're going to take a few lunges on the knees. So if you'd like some extra padding, depending on what your mat is set up on, maybe your blanket comes out and you put that underneath your knees. Hands will still be underneath the shoulders. Set up the timer here. Again, always starting your poses from the foundation, from the floor, and then building them from there. So the eyes of the elbows forward. Tuck your left toes for a little more stability. Now, if you have blocks, put a block near each corner of your mat. Right leg on an inhale will lift long behind you. As you exhale, bring your knee into your nose. Lean to the left a little bit to create some space to bring your right foot up and through. And now you've got your blocks if you'd like them. Right knee is going to stay on the right ankle. Lizard. Nope. Dragon. Sorry. Wrong reptile. So the left knee is on the floor. You can scooch the left knee back so you're more on the upper knee, lower thigh instead of pressing directly on your kneecap. The main component here is that the right knee stays on top of the right ankle. You can lift up for a high flying dragon, or you can take kind of a medium version, hooking your right shoulder on top of your right thigh, and then you've got your blocks here to support your elbows, or you can let your arms just hang down. An unsupported hip opener, we won't be here for a really long time, maybe 90 seconds or so. And 90 seconds is the recommended hold time for any of these postures to allow your connective tissue the time it needs to open, to strengthen, soften a little bit. Stay with the breath. This yin practice works kind of like acupuncture, the same theory in opening the meridians that move through the connective tissue. The connective tissue, the part of the structure where the muscle turns into bone. And we're busy, we've got stuff. Nobody has time to stretch until we make time to stretch. Feel the rib cage pressing into your right thigh as you breathe in. Relax a little more as you breathe out. Notice if you're holding tension in the jaw, try to soften. Separate the teeth, soften the forehead. Coming back to the breath if you've gone somewhere else. Using an inhale to press your hands down, straighten the elbows, blocks or floor. And then you can scooch the blocks away just for now, maybe. Shimmy your right foot over to the long left side of your mat. And then lay your right shin down, your right knee down. It's going to be pigeon or swan. So if you need to prop your right hip, you can put your block or a bolster underneath your right hip so the pelvis is more level. Left hip goes forward, right hip moves back. If you want more juice here, your right ankle moves out toward the top left corner so your shin is parallel with the front edge of your mat. If you want a little less juice, then bring your left heel, nope, it's your right heel, bring it in toward your hip. And then take an inhale to lift up. As you exhale, walk your hands forward, pressing into your hip. So use your hands to press back into your right hip so you're not pinching into your right knee. If you have sharp shooting pain in your right knee, don't do this pose. Back out and come onto your back and take a reclined pigeon like so. Or a figure 4. But if you're with me, with us, you're in pigeon or resting, sleeping swan. Folding forward over your right leg. Come back into that long breath. Identify the spot in your right hip where you feel this pose happen the most sensation. Direct your breath, your attention to that spot. Each of these yin postures with the longer holds provides the opportunity to turn these into little mini meditation practices. So the two components you need to make a meditation practice are attention and intention. So holding your attention on one certain point. Maybe it's what you set at the beginning of your practice. Maybe each pose you take, it's a different focus. A discipline that we need to happen in this yin practice is to stay still, to stay present. When you feel things start to amp up, sensation likely increases with these longer holds as your connective tissue starts to open. We feel that. Stay present with whatever that is. Facing whatever you're pulling up out of those dark spaces that don't otherwise get illuminated unless we hold a stretch, hold a pose, breathe, allow. Maybe 4 or 5 more really deep breaths, even on both sides. Waiting for an inhale to inspire you to move out of this sleeping swan or resting pigeon, depending on which bird you're into. An inhale will bring you up. Hands will come in front of your right leg, pressing up to sit, just holding yourself here for a moment. allowing yourself to adjust to being upright. And then whatever's underneath your right hip, if you were propping yourself, unprop, pull that out. And then lean onto your right hip, swing your left leg around in front. You can just scooch this blanket behind you, or you can even sit on it. Sometimes it's kind of nice to have some extra padding. So our next posture is half shoelace. Your right knee is going to come on top of your left knee, cross over top. And like I mentioned, sometimes if you sit up, supporting with a blanket, if you lift your hips a little higher, it's easier to fold forward. So there's that. Now you've got your strap or your necktie or your extension cord or whatever. You're going to lasso this left foot just around the ball. That will give you a nice stretch behind your left leg and your calf. And then you can choke down on the strap to your degree. Inhale to lift your chest. Keep this left foot flexed. And then as you exhale, straight spine, lead with the chest toward your left leg. Now this is a little more aggressive version of half shoelace. If you want to stay more yin style, unsupported, or just letting gravity do the work, fold over your leg. And then if you're not holding on the strap, if you're not drawing tension back, let yourself be soft. Let the left leg relax. Let your back round as you fold over your right thigh. Come back to the breath, back into that meditative practice, attention and intention. Space in the teeth, between the teeth, upper and bottom, upper and lower. Notice here you're folded forward, so as you breathe in, the shoulder blades move apart with the breath, and then as you breathe out, you get a little more heavy, a little more relaxed. Stay with the breath. Make your next inhale bigger. And your exhale longer. Breathe in. Breathe out. Use your next inhale to slowly walk yourself back up for however far forward you were. You're going to come back up. Now, straight spine. Take an inhale. We're going to twist. Your left hand is going to go to the outside of your right knee. Your right hand is going to move behind your right hip. Take an inhale to lift your chest. As you exhale, gently twist around the axis of your spine. Keep your abdominals engaged to protect your low back. Keep the chin tucked so the back of the neck is long. Inhale, press down into your sitting bones. Exhale, ring out. Maybe a little deeper. Maybe you hold the depth you are. Keep breathing. Inhaling to get taller. Exhaling to gently twist. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Maybe 3 more rounds. Take one more inhale, sitting up taller. And then as you exhale, untwist. Now we're going to take a bigger hip opener now, double pigeon, fire logs. So your left leg is going to be on the bottom, your right leg is going to be on the top. Equal signs with the shins is what we're going for, so the feet flex and the shin bones line up. If that's not going to happen, if it's more greater than or less than signs with the legs, put something underneath your right knee. Several things, whatever you need, just so you have some support here. And then anchor with the hips as you breathe in, press down. As you breathe out, lean forward until you feel it in the hips. And if you feel it, it's working. So you don't need to push past that until you feel it the most that you've ever possibly felt anything. Be honest in your practice. Don't push or force. Use the breath. When the breath becomes jagged, starts to catch, likely that you've gone too far. Back off. Come back to the place where the breath was easy, spilling free, in and out by the nose. Space in the breath, space between the thoughts. Take a breath in. Clear that breath out. Breathe in. All the way out. Last inhale to lift up. If you're propped, unprop. And now uncross your legs. Bring the feet to the edges of the mat. Hands behind you. Drop the knees to the left. Drop the knees to the right. Just wiping out the knees, going side to side, massaging the hip muscles, the glute muscles with your bones here. And then back to center, cross the shins in front of you, come over the shins onto fours, move the knees back to your blanket. If you had it, if not, no worries. And then just for symmetry's sake, we're gonna tuck the toes, arch the back, find that tilt in the pelvis again, press into the hands, turn the eyes of the elbows forward and lift up into downward dog. Pedal, shift, it can be a very mellow dog with the knees bent a lot, let the head be very heavy. And then when you're ready, put the knees back down for fours. You're gonna do the left side. You've got your blocks near the top of your mat. You've got maybe your bolster or your support for your pigeon that's gonna be coming up toward the back left of your mat. Right toes tuck. Left leg on an inhale, lift it long. As you exhale, bring the knee into the nose, rounding and leaning to the right now to bring your left foot through. You can grab blocks or not. Knee on top of the ankle. Take an inhale, high flying dragon to adjust. So maybe the right toes tuck, move your right knee back. Press the left heel down to lift your chest. If you want the medium high version, you can let your left shoulder rest, let your forehead be heavy. Breathe here, about 90 seconds, just opening the front of that right hip. Maybe the left a little bit too. Breathe. You can tuck your right toes or untuck, you choose. Smooth out the forehead, the temples. Relax the jaw. Feel the left ribs on your inhale, heavier on your exhale. Now wait for an inhale to inspire you to lift up. When that happens, your inhale will bring you up. Hands go where the elbows were, or you're straightening them to lift up. Give yourself a second here, orienting back to being upright, and then when you're ready, move the blocks out of your way. You're gonna scooch left foot to the right side, laying that left knee down toward the top left corner of your mat. Left hip bone reaching toward the floor. If you need to prop it, put something underneath your left hip sitting bone, a bolster, a blanket, block, whatever. Give yourself a second here to let your energy settle into the lower half of the body. Breathe in. As you breathe out, pressing into your left hip. So you're not pressing on your knee, and just because it was okay on the first side doesn't mean that you may not have issues over here. So stay connected to what's going on in that left side. Lengthen through your right leg. You can tuck the toes or not. And then surrender, soften, fold in. Single point of focus, full equal breath, both sides. Identify the spot in your left hip where you feel this the most. Send your energy, your attention directly there. Maybe 3 or 4 more big breaths, bigger breaths, more aware breath. Really tapping into the movement, the relaxation component on each side. Your next inhale, an inhale that inspires you to move. So if you don't find that, stay. Come back up onto your hands. Just lifting up here for a second or two, giving yourself time to adjust. Now you'll move whatever's supporting that left hip, if anything, out. Lean onto your left side to swing your right leg around in front. Half shoelace, left knee on top of the right knee. Again, you can sit on your blanket or a block, bolster, lifting the hips higher to allow that lean. And I didn't mention this on the first side, but it's worth mentioning. Especially if you're hypermobile, put something behind your knee so you're not gonna hyperextend and potentially damage that joint. So knee on knee, out of the hips, get taller, take a breath in. And then as you breathe out, you can lean forward, stretching through the foot. You can be passive, or you can lasso the ball of that right foot in with your strap or your tie, finding a stretch behind the shin or behind the calf, leaning toward the shin. You decide how it looks, settle into how it feels, and we'll hold this and breathe. Thinking about the 2 lines that happen here, if you've got the more engaged version, the right hip through the right heel is extending, and then the hips through the crown of the head, lengthening through the whole back body. Notice where you can soften. Maybe it's between the ears, softening around an idea. Three more breaths. Take a breath in, all the way out. And then use your next inhale to bring you up. Walk the hands up the right leg, lifting tall, and then into our twist. So you'll keep the hips anchored. Right hand to the left knee, left hand behind you. Breathe in to get taller, lift through the chest. As you breathe out, keep the chin drawn in slightly, turn to the left shoulder. Breathe in for length, breathe out for twist. Keep those two dynamics working with the breath. You inhale to get longer, taller. You exhale to gently wring out. Keep the core muscles slightly pulling in to protect the low back. Stay with the breath, inhaling, press down, get taller. Exhale, wring out. Two more like that. And then as you inhale, untwist. You can take that support out from underneath your knee for fire logs on this side. So your right shin on the bottom, left shin on top. Flex the feet if you need to support this top knee. Do so. Make sure that the skin is smooth here on the inside of the ankle so you're not sickling and overstretching the outer ligaments in your left ankle. Inhale to lift up. Exhale, fold. To your degree. Whenever you feel it, that's good. If you want to feel it more, then you go further. Less, you back off. That's up to you. Finding that perfect spot in the middle of way too much and not nearly enough. As you start to open the connective tissue, you hold these poses for specified lengths. During that length of time, you may start to feel like you have some more space to move deeper into the pose. As your connective tissue does its thing. Fibrin and elastin, the components that make it stretchier, the connective tissue stretchier and stronger. The ligaments, the tendons. Take a breath in. Let it go and make sure it's the same length as the inhale. Pay attention. And then do that 4 more times. The inhale and the exhale. An inhale will inspire you out of this. So on an inhale, come back up. Give yourself a moment here, lifting taller, and then move whatever's underneath that knee out. Manually uncross, bring the feet to the edges of the mat, bring the fingertips behind you. Now if this is too much, what we're about to do, this reverse table, then you can do the knees dropping side to side alternative. Otherwise, pick up the hips on an inhale and then lower them on an exhale. It can be a lot, it can be hardly at all. Inhaling to lift, exhaling to lower. We'll go one more time, lift up, maybe the chin lifts, maybe the throat opens, the head drops. And then on an exhale, bring the chin back in, lower the hips down, cross the shins. And then again, downward dog. Come over the shins onto knees. Tuck the toes, arch the back, lift up, Adho Mukha Svanasana, pedal. Reach with the arms and let the head be heavy, let the chest be heavy. Take one more breath in. As you breathe out, put the knees back on your blanket or your mat. And then you're going to come all the way to seated. On your sitting bones, maybe you turn to the long edge of your mat. So one heel can be on the corner, one heel can be on the other corner, flexing the feet. And again, kind of like we did in our half shoelace, it helps to lift the hips up. So maybe the blanket or the bolster behind you to give you a little lift. Now, inhale to lift your chest. As you exhale, walk your hands forward until you feel like it's time to stop. You want to keep the spine long. Belly, chest, and chin is the order that you fold all the way forward. So no rounding and hunching and leading with the nose. You want to stay open through the front of the body. Flexing through the feet, micro bending the knees so you're not locking out there. Give some time on this symmetrical pose. Giving yourself the gift of exploring the space between the thoughts, the limitless potential in that space. Start to come back to your breath if you've gone somewhere else. Deepening your inhale, lengthening your exhale. On the next inhale, start to walk the hands closer to the body. And then bring the legs together. You can manually move them together. After that wide-legged fold, it may need some manual help. Now, caterpillar is the next one. So the legs are together and relaxed as you can make the legs. If the sitting bones need to be moved apart, move your stuff out from underneath them, do that. And then take an inhale here, lift your chest. As you exhale, now you can round. You have permission to round and to be chill and passive here. Fold forward, let the elbows bend and rest on the floor. You can always grab your props and stick a prop underneath your forehead to give you some support here. As you breathe in, pay attention to what moves as you inhale, what stretches. As you exhale, what softens, what gets a little heavier. If you have your forehead resting on something, similar to child's pose, in that, pressure on your third eye, your sixth chakra, the center of your forehead. Gentle pressure here triggers the relaxation response. By resting, by breathing, by letting things be soft, come back into that balanced state, homeostasis. Everything is just as it needs to be for everything to perform and function optimally. We need rest. Stay connected to what's happening in your jaw. Don't let your teeth clamp down. Don't let the forehead tense. Keep it smooth. Another thing too I didn't mention in the beginning of coming into this pose, if one block is ambitious, use as many props as you need. Stack them all up. Make a hotel. Like so. Make your next inhale bigger. Let it go. Do that twice more. Big inhale. Part the lips and let it go. Last breath in. All the way out. Use an inhale to lift up. Whatever you are sitting on or resting on, move it aside. Keep a block handy. Bring your heels to the front edge of your mat. I'm going to spin around and face this way just because. And now you're going to lower all the way onto your back. Heels are at the edge, so when you pull the navel in and lower one vertebra at a time with some core control, you're all the way on your sticky mat. Inhale to reach the arms up, just taking a long stretch here like you're climbing a ladder. Maybe the left arm reaches, right arm reaches, just stretching into the whole body. Take one more breath in. As you breathe out, hug the right knee in, and then once you've got the right knee, hug the left knee in, just a little easier on your knee, on your back. Hug them in close to the chest. And then release and put the feet down just in front of your hip bones. Arms go down by the sides to make sure that you can touch the backs of your heels. Grab a block. The block with the most surface, the side with the most surface area, you're going to put that under your sacrum. So press into your heels to lift your hips up, supported bridge. Put the block underneath your tailbone, mostly tailbone, instead of lumbar. Take supported bridge. So the chin stays in, so the back of the neck is long. You can keep the knees bending, or you can extend the legs long. Let them just relax, and then your hips are heavy. You can open the arms to a T, or maybe even overhead if that feels okay in the shoulders. Just breathing here. Now to stretch the muscles of the core, as you breathe in, round through the belly like a toddler tummy, puffing up here. And then as you exhale, hollow it out, pull the navel into the spine. Inhale, round. Exhale, hollow out. And then you'll get a stretch just by changing maybe the dynamic, the pattern of the breath. Now feel free to stay here in your supported bridge or a version of that if you'd like, or you can put the arms down by the sides, bend the knees and put the feet down on your mat, and then your left leg will extend to the ceiling. Your right leg will extend to the ceiling. Supported, legs up the wall. You can always go to a wall and take this, the heels on the wall, and your hip bones will be next to the base there. The legs be legless. Micro movements until you find that. Your head or your hands and invert. Fall asleep at night. Hold. Active. Benefit. Bye.